Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today you're watching Zoma Stage. So by now, most of you have probably watched my Grand Army character review on Layla. So today I thought we can, kind of lighten up the mood a little bit and do a review on Jayson. First and foremost, I do want to say that I think he's absolutely adorable. Jayson was just so cute to me. Like, he was just such an innocent soul. Like, he was very sheltered, and you could tell this was definitely a coming of age story for him because of the family that he grew up in. And by family I mean like his mom and dad specifically, taking his grandfather out the equation for a second. I think their goal or their aim was to basically get him out of Brooklyn. So they did everything they could to shelter him and just put him in any of those extracurricular activities like playing the trumpet so that he could, keep his head on the straight and narrow and not be distracted and start getting into bad things that he didn't need to. You can tell his parents put in a lot of work to make sure that he was successful. So, which I definitely appreciated, but I think along the lines they kind of tried to water down his blackness per se, as in they didn't really want that to be his focal point, which it shouldn't be. Like, race should never be the focal point. I think they tried so hard to not make his race a focal point that they kind of basically erased it from his identity. Like, I felt like he didn't really, like, he knew he was a black man, but at the same time he didn't really understand all the implications that came with that. So obviously, like in the first episode, we're introduced to Jayson and his best friend Owen, and right away we can tell that they have like a very strong brotherhood going. And honestly, it was so beautiful to see, like, these two joyful, hope-filled, happy black boys just in love with playing the trumpet. And that's like where their biggest connection comes from, the fact that they're just so in love with music. They both want to make it to like Juilliard or something. It's beautiful. What am I saying? Trumpet? They definitely played the saxophone. Sorry, y'all. The point still stands. They're playing an instrument and they want to make it big. And they're both very, very talented boys. I guess like most people had a distaste of Jayson and Owen's character because, they started teasing Dom with her wallet and she ended up losing $200, which she really needed for her niece and nephew to go to fencing class or school, something like that. But, that was a little distaste, but I think a lot of us wrote it off because it was like, oh, this is high school. It's just what comes with the territory. Like, boys always messing with you, girls always messing with you. People are just always trying to be the cool kids, whatever. But that little minor incident turns into Jayson and Owen's life changing forever. And that's when Jayson realizes that, classism is a thing, racism is a thing, and inequality is a thing. And he learned it really quickly when he ended up not being suspended from the school because of that incident, and Owen was. And I think that's where his journey really starts for him to figure out who he really is and what his true identity is, because he's always been a sax player. He's always been a good brother to his baby sibling. He's always been a good son to his parents, and a good grandkid to his grandpa. But that's when you started to see that he was searching for more, like, who is Jayson? It's so crazy how you see like the dynamic within his immediate family. Like, his dad tries to brush all these pressing social issues under the rug. His mom tries to ignore it, but his grandpa is not with it. You can tell he wanted to be, or he's probably part of the Black Panthers back in his day. It's so crazy how his grandpa was all about black rights, fighting for equality, and he wanted to teach Jayson. You could tell he wanted to teach Jayson, and you could tell he also attempted to teach his son, but it just never stuck. But you can tell his grandpa was trying to put little trinkets in his ear, basically, to see if he can get him to connect to his black roots and really see like what you're actually fighting for. Like, yeah, you grew up in a good home. Your mom and dad are so in love with each other. They've been together since they were so young. They respect and love each other. You have dinner at the dinner table every night with them. You guys laugh, you joke. Like, yes, this is a perfect family, but understand that this is within the house, and outside the house is a whole different story. And although you want to walk around like there's nothing to worry about, understand that this is a different life that us as black people have to live. And that's all his grandpa was trying to translate to him. And that's why the last episode and the last scene was so powerful, because as you can see, when Jayson stood up and put that mask over his mouth, put that fist in the air, and refused to play because he knew that sax spot was for Owen, and he was standing up for his friend for getting such a harsh, unjustified punishment for what they did. His dad was kind of ashamed. His mom was ashamed as well, but his grandpa had a smirk. I don't know about y'all, but there's a bigger picture, and your statement means everything on this grand stage where so many people are watching. And he could have easily took the easy way out, but he didn't. And that made his grandpa so proud. And I'm sure that made him so proud, because that was a pivotal moment. That's when you could look at Jayson and be like, he knows who he is. And this doesn't mean like you just throw away all your opportunities and that you have to always fight for everyone. No, that doesn't mean that. It's not like he has this whole race on his back and he has to fight for everyone. But I think that's what Jayson needed to do for Jayson, because for so long Jayson was living the identity that his parents wanted him to live and not what he wanted to live. But it was just so beautiful to see. And I think there has to be a point made in the fact that, you know, Owen and Jayson did what they did to Dom. You know, she lost a lot of money, but they did everything they could to pay her back, and they did pay her back. We can sit here and argue about semantics and try to figure out if they paid her back so that by the time they had their school hearing, they wouldn't get kicked out, or if they paid her back because they really felt bad. But just looking at both of them, I can tell that it came from a genuine place. Like, they didn't mean for her to lose her money when they were throwing around her wallet. So because she did, and they knew it was their fault, they did what they had to do, played their sax in the subway, whatever they had to do to raise that money and pay her back, even though it was in bills and coins. It was still there. I do want to talk about Dom's attitude towards them and her reaction to them, but that'll be in her video. I think their antics of trying to pay her back, genuine spirit within it, showed their innocence as well. We have to remember these kids were like, what, sophomores or juniors? You're like basically 15 and 16. They're such young boys. When we're young, we make dumb mistakes. And it's so sad that you can tell that the writers of, you know, this story, this book, basically want to show how these are young 15, 16-year-old black boys, but they're being punished like delinquents that are not in school, that are like in their 20s and know what they're supposed to be doing. No, they're 15, 16. They're young. They're immature. Some boys are just hitting puberty at that age. They don't know anything. They don't know any better. Of course, they knew not to play with somebody's wallet, but the point still stands that the punishment did not equate to the crime. It was really hard to watch those scenes and just see how they had been destroyed. Jayson and Owen's relationship suffered so badly from it. It sucked to see that. We saw them go from happy best of friends to go into Owen being in like one of the public schools. He's getting beat up, jumped. He's hanging out with the wrong kids. He doesn't even sound like himself anymore. He hasn't even picked up his instrument in so long. And it's like that between Owen and Jayson. Owen is the one that was very passionate about playing sax. So it just sucked to see that. It really did. There's so many layers that you can peel back from Jayson's character, from his sheltered upbringing to even the way he handled the hearings that him and Owen were in. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like I wasn't a little bit pissed at him. I was. I felt a little like betrayed when he didn't know how to stay on code. He didn't know how to maneuver through that process, like what to say and what not to say. And that's really because his parents sheltered him, and he didn't really understand what the code was. Any black person with a brain cell would understand that your friend is trying to avoid getting into too much trouble and getting too much of a punishment, so you have to be on your P's and Q's and watch what you say. So basically meaning to omit certain things, which doesn't really mean you're lying. You're just, you know, working with the system. The system does it to you, you do it right back to them. When they were in that room, literally it feels like they're in an interrogation. Jayson, at first, it's going well, and then he cracks, and then he's just trying to defend his friend. He's coming from an innocent place, and he literally just spills the beans and says everything that happened. And right then and there, Owen is reprimanded, Owen is punished, and Owen is kicked out of school for 60 days. Moment of silence for his unawareness, because when that happened, I feel like everyone who watched the show, our hearts just broke. Like, man, you were doing so well, Jayson. But that's what happened, and I think that was the beginning of the end. I mean, the beginning of the end of their friendship was like early in the episodes, but I think that was the cherry on top. But I do have faith in them. I do think they're going to get it back together, and I think what he did in that last episode definitely showed his loyalty, because you can't lie. You can call Jayson a few things, but you can't call that boy disloyal. He went up to that public school as much as he could to try to talk to Owen, even though Owen always dismissed him, always talked down on him, always rolled his eyes at him, literally acted like he wanted nothing to do with him. Told him that he wanted nothing to do with him, and Jayson still kept coming back. Although some people might look at him taking that role that was rightfully Owen's to play in that concert, at the end of the day, it wasn't done maliciously, and if Owen wasn't in that state of mind that he was in, I think he would have supported Jayson taking that role, which is why at the end he did wish him luck and give him a few pointers about how to play. So you see there was an inkling. It was a little blink of hope. They're going to be okay. Those are two black boys. They're very good at playing saxophone. If one wasn't going to play, the other one should play. And it shouldn't be given to anyone else because I think they worked really hard for it. You can tell that Jayson was still trying to make his father proud while trying to make himself proud. So I am very interested to see how the relationship between his father and him will change, and how the relationship between him and his grandfather will change. I see the one with the grandfather going positively. I just don't know how it will be with his father, but I can't say I think it will go down the drain. That's impossible. His dad loves him. But yeah, Jayson, I just loved that they highlighted a black boy, a non-stereotypical role, and didn't give him that what they usually give to black boys: run down, decrepit boys with no hope, fatherless homes, blah blah, all those stereotypes that are literally not true, literally are more uncommon than they are common. I'm glad that they went in the better direction and tried to highlight the dynamics that is the black man, that is the black woman, that is the black family unit, because there's so many different units out there, and the one that they highlighted in that show is a common one. So I'm just glad that he was given a role that fit. All in all, I did love Jayson's character, and I can't wait to see how he further develops in the next season. I really do think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I can see him kind of basically matching the energy that John is at in the show, and running the BSU, being at the forefront of all these different rallies and sit-ins and different acts of protest that he leads. I can see him working up to that level and matching that energy. So I'm really excited. But once again, I'm very happy that this show definitely highlighted a different type of black boy, a different type of black family dynamic. And yeah, it was really good. So yes, that was my review on Jayson. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next week for my next character review.